Welcome to the medieval age, or at least the version of it that movies want you to believe. Perfectly polished nights, majestic castles rising into the sky, white spotted stone streets, a world that looks clean, heroic, almost magical. But what if I told you that this image, the one we've all grown up with, is almost entirely fake? What if the real Middle Ages were nothing like the shining world we see in video games? What if the truth was darker, dirtier, and far more human? Because the Middle Ages were not a fairy tale. They were a world of survival, noise, chaos, danger, and incredible ingenuity. Today, with the help of cutting-edge AI, we can peel away the fantasy and step straight into the real medieval world. Forget the white movie streets. Real medieval streets were narrow, so narrow that neighbors could reach out and shake hands from their windows. And the ground below, not cobblestone, not even dirt, but a thick reeking mud made of human waste, animal droppings, rotten vegetables, and shattered bones. People emptying their chamber pots by shouting Cardlew and dumping everything straight onto the street. Pigs wandered freely, eating whatever they found. The street wasn't a street, it was a living sewer. Movies never mention the smells, but medieval cities run over many mix of smoke, animals, sewage, rotting food, wet timber, and bodies packed together. Every street had its own scent, some familiar, some sickening. Bakeries smelled warm, stables smelled sharp, and alleyways, well, no one wanted to walk through them. It was the sense of life, survival, and a world that never had the chance to breathe clean air. And while the streets were filthy, the river was the lifeline of the state. On the River Thames, trade never stopped. Wooden boats carrying fish, wool, ale, timber, and spices crowded the weather. Merchants shouted across the docks, workers rolled heavy barrels along trembling planks, and the smell of fish mixed with chimney smoke drifting over the river. This was medieval London's engine, chaotic, loud, and overflowing with life. Forget the romantic silence of medieval movies. Real medieval cities were loud, almost unbearably loud. Blacksmith hammers ringing, animals screaming, merchants shouting, bells constantly echoing. Noise never stopped, not even at night. Workshops clattered, towers roared with laughter, and guards marched through the streets with heavy boots. Silence was a rare treasure, usually found only outside the city walls. Medieval London wasn't just crowded on land, even the bridges were bursting with life. London Bridge wasn't just a bridge, it was a neighborhood. Shops, houses, vendors, animals, all squeezed together on one narrow crossing. Traffic jams weren't invented in the modern age, they were born here. Carts, horses, traders, and crowds pushed against each other with nowhere to go. And beneath it all, the river flowed silently, carrying the weight of a city that never slowed down. Most medieval houses were made of wood, tall, leaning, creaking structures, built so close that their rooftops touched. Inside, fireplaces burned day and night. One spark, one gust of wind, and an entire neighborhood could vanish. Cities lived in constant fear of fire, and because space was limited, homes grew upward and outward, hanging over the very streets below, creating dark, twisting alleys. The marketplace was the beating heart of the city, loud, smoky, and overflowing with life. Butchers chopping meat, bakers pulling bread from glowing ovens, fishmongers shouting over one another while smoke from cooking fires filled the air. And yet, within this chaos were warm and intimate spaces, tiny towers lit by candlelight, crowded wooden homes where families gathered, and workshop filled with the sound of hammers at wheels. Movies show medieval walls as decorative, but they were built out of fear of innovation, siege, and destruction. Massive stone walls surrounded cities like steel armor, shielding them from armies and nightmares. Inside these walls, life was tightly packed. Houses stacked on each other, streets twisting like mazes, fire, disease, hunger, constant companions. When the sun went down, the city changed. There were no street lamps, only torches, candles, and the moon. Shadows hid thieves and wanderers, and every corner felt uncertain. Most people stayed inside, not out of comfort, but fear. Nights belonged to danger, whispers, and the unknown. The darkness wasn't just around the streets, it lived in the imagination of everyone who dared to step outside. Life outside the walls was harsher. Peasants faced brutal weather, roaming bandits, and night darker than ink. They walked the field all day and returned to their small huts at dusk. But Europe's muddy streets were not the whole story. In medieval Baghdad, paved roads, hospitals, and massive libraries transformed the city into the scientific heart of the world. The House of Wisdom gathered scholars from everywhere, translating, inventing, preserving knowledge for centuries to come. And this wasn't a small, hidden academy, it was a beacon of civilization. Astronomers charted the stars, physicians wrote medical encyclopedias, mathematicians built the foundation of algebra, and translators swept ancient knowledge that would have otherwise been lost forever. While much of the world struggled to survive, Baghdad was pushing the boundaries of what humanity could understand. It was a reminder that the Middle Ages were never a single story, but a tapestry of cultures rising and falling in different rhythms. And then came Constantinople, the queen of cities. With gigantic walls, bustling ports, shimmering markets, monasteries, palaces, and the breathtaking dome of Hagia Sophia. A city so grand that travelers wrote about it as if it were a dream. And truly, it was a crossroads of the world, where east met west, where caravans unloaded silk and spices, and where ships from distant empires filled the harbors. Its streets echoed with dozens of languages, its palaces glittered with mosaics, and its scholars guarded knowledge as fiercely as its soldiers defended the walls. For nearly 1,000 years, Constantinople stood as a symbol of endurance, wealth, and unmatched architectural genius. So, why the movies get it wrong? Because the real Middle Ages were complicated, fearful yet full of life, dangerous yet innovative, chaotic yet beautiful. And now, with AI, we can finally peel back the myths and see history as it truly was. Before we close, someone from the Middle Ages, someone who lived the reality we just explored, has a message for you.
You, from your bright future, You see our mud, our struggles, but we are your foundations. Our harsh life shaped the very ground you walk upon. These stories are the echoes of a spirit that persevered. Do not let these echoes fade. Learn from our dust. To know where you came from, keep our memory alive.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Medieval Reborn and let's rediscover the past together.